It's April, it's Friday the 11th, and it's now time for another episode of Saturday Yacht Kitchen.
Saturday Yacht Kitchen. Saturday Yacht Kitchen. Saturday Yacht Kitchen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all having a fun time wherever you may be. You've joined us live for Saturday Yacht Kitchen here in the south of France. It is right now the start of the summer season. It's starting to kick in, and the next few weeks, I know a lot of you out there who are watching on yachts, you're going to start having the stress building up, lots of preparation. The sun's going to make that even worse, of course, and then you're going to feel the heat as we kick into Cannes Film Festival, Monaco Grand Prix, and then, of course, charter season through June and July and August. But before any of that happens, I want to introduce you to our guest today. First of all, we have a Michelin trained chef here to join us to help us prepare for the season and show you a few tricks and of the trade. Basically, Chef Pete has now joined us, and he's going to be working in the industry. He was here last year on a super yacht, and he's going to be on a new super yacht, we hope, soon. We also have with us somebody who's been in the trade for over 30 years, owned her own restaurant in the south of France, knows everything about food, and I'm sure she's going to give us some tips and tricks as well today. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Thea.
Hi guys.
Hey, Thea. So, yeah, we've got lots to talk about. We've got a packed show, really fun stuff, but first of all, we're going to have a little bit of delicate fish prep from Chef Pete. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to do today.
So we've got beautiful sea bream. We've got some wild garlic, which is just, as we know, just coming to season. It's not around for long. We've got some lovely French asparagus, some nice crushed potatoes, and then we've made a nice sort of green sauce, very simple little green sauce.
Cool. Okay, let's do it. Let's see. If you need me to help out
Oh
anytime,
yeah.
just ask. And we've
so-
also got professional chef over
Yep,
here, Thea,
I
who
got
can
two
help
hands.
if we need her.
That's it. So we've got a whole bream today because I wanted to sort of demonstrate how to do a whole bream. But of course, I think you have filleted fish. Is that something?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, like I think we talked about it before, especially when you first joined the industry. We had a long chat about corners you can cut. And the thing about fish, I think it's really important, is that you know you're going to be paying for the whole weight of the fish, and as a restaurant, you know that too.
Oh yeah.
Now, in a restaurant, quite often you get your whole fish in and you prep it. On yachts, maybe that's not always the solution, and the reason that's the case is because it's waste. I mean, just a little bit of prep now, and you can see there's already some waste, and we've got our camera up above as well. That's just going to fill up. That has to go in a bin. That has to be disposed of, and if you're at sea, that's a problem.
And it smells.
And it smells, absolutely. So I think if you're paying for the weight of the fish, I think sometimes you might as well have it filleted, sous vide in portions or in sides,
Yeah.
and then you prep it just before the meal, and it's going to save you a lot of time. And if it's not going to cost you any more money to have it prepped, then maybe it can be a good solution. Not always.
And I
What do you
think as well, if you've got like 10 to 12 guests, that's 5 fish that you've got to fillet. It's not just one fish that you're filleting. But I think it's important that you do have the skill to fillet because you never know if the owner might come on board with a few fish that they may have caught themselves or seen at the local market and she just fancies sea bream, or if they just fancy some whatever they see, some shellfish or whatever. So, yeah.
If you're in Greece, you could have a fisherman turn up at the boat in a little dinghy saying, "I've caught some fish. Would you like some fresh fish?" The owners or the guests see it and go, "Wow, that's amazing." Yeah, you've got to have those skills. So talk us through what you're doing here.
So I've just trimmed off all the bits that may cause me any harm, the gills and stuff to make my life a bit easier. I've got it head to the left hand side. I've just gone in with a cut here to the head. Some people like to take the head off first. Or
You can put the camera. Are you showing the camera?
don't have
Yeah,
to.
great.
Just putting my hand flat on the fillet, and then just running my knife tight to the
Bone.
tight to the bone. Exactly.
So basically, if you'd never filleted a fish before, and somebody was doing this, would you immediately know that this person's not skilled?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you reckon?
Absolutely. That's
It is
what we
something
call
you need to do a
massacring
few
the
times,
fish.
isn't it?
You just waste the fish.
Do you remember the first time you ever filleted a fish?
Of course.
Yeah.
Never forget.
How did it go?
Cut myself.
You really?
Oh, totally.
It is a tricky little thing if you've not done it. You have to be quite precise because otherwise you cut that flesh and
Yeah.
that can make the fillet, the piece you have, look terrible.
You have
Also,
to have the confidence also.
You're wasting a lot of product as well, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I see that sometimes when I see it on TV done, and they hold it up and go, "I've done a really good job there," and I can see all this flesh on it. They've obviously done it quick; it's on camera, but you can clearly see that Chef Pete's actually really taken a bit of time. I think you do need to take a bit of time, don't
Yeah,
you?
I
You
think
do.
you need to slow down a bit to do it.
Yeah.
But it's also practice. The
That-
more you
that's
do it, you
The
become
muscle memory
more
that you
sure of
have.
yourself.
Yeah,
more
yeah.
confidence builds up.
Yeah.
And then your strokes will be less haggarding.
Yeah, of course.
So
And
that-
obviously your knife needs to be sharp.
As you can
You
see,
have to have the good equipment, of course.
that's just one fillet there I've taken off.
He's very proud of himself. This is the way he held that
Yeah.
up to the camera. Then he went, "Have you seen my fillet?"
So he's going to repeat the same process on the other side.
Which is the worst fish to fillet, would you say?
Whoa, I would say that's what we call here the local fish called rascas.
Ah, yeah, I know the ones.
Oh.
They're sort of rounded almost, aren't they?
Yeah,
Are they quite tricky?
I find so because the shape is not flat.
Yeah.
You got like a flat fish. The most wonderful one are the soulfish, of course.
Yeah,
That's great.
I have a problem.
Monkfish.
I have a problem with the sole.
Monkfish
Taking the
is like
skin off.
really a no-brainer.
Is it tricky to take that skin off a solefish? It's just a skill.
Yeah.
It's a trick.
Yeah. I find it a bit annoying.
Yeah.
I like to make. Sometimes I make goujons of sole. So you know when you have your little pieces of thin strips,
Yeah.
and you put it in your breadcrumbs and stuff. I love that, and it was something I had as a kid. So whenever I make it, it reminds me of when we used to go away. We'd go to this hotel, and I'd always have the goujons of sole, I always used to have a nice feeling about it. But now when I try to do it, I do find taking the skin off a real
A bit
pain.
more interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as much fun when you have to prepare it yourself.
True.
So when you're doing shellfish, now obviously you prepared a lot. You're in the south of France. You've had a lot of shellfish in your restaurant
Yep.
over the years. Which is your favourite shellfish to prepare?
To prepare scallops,
Yeah.
yeah.
And why is
Scallops
that?
are really great because they're very versatile. You can do them in very different kinds of ways, and it's fast.
Yeah,
we
it's-
love fast.
I think if you're in a restaurant as well and people are ordering stuff
Yeah.
and you're preparing them fresh, because a lot of places are not. They're getting frozen scallops.
Well, it's just
You know.
very, very different.
Yeah.
You can absolutely. I think you cannot. You can't cheat with scallops.
Yeah.
You know, frozen or fresh ones. With fish, you can. If fish is decently frozen, like shock
If
frozen,
it's blast frozen, yeah.
sometimes that's even better than fresh fish.
Yeah, I think it can be easy to work with as well. I think
Yep.
sometimes, I think sometimes if it's not completely defrosted, you can actually trim it with a
Absolutely.
really nice line. And that's the same if you're cutting. Say you've got a really nice piece of wagyu and it's got bones on it, it's a rack or something. You can get that lovely straight line if it's
Just still,
if it's still semi-frozen
like
almost.
like the salmon, like the tuna.
They would go exactly, especially if you're doing
Swordfish.
sashimi cuts of salmon.
Oh, totally.
You know, if it's a bit firm and a bit colder,
Yeah.
and that's another thing I think. You know, it should never be, I think, and tell me what you think. I think if you've got fresh fish, you should never be scared of sticking it in the freezer for a few minutes to firm it up for
Yep.
when you want to get that line.
The nice
And I
strip.
think some people are a bit scared of sticking it in the freezer even for 15 minutes, but it's not going to freeze. It's just going to get colder and allow you to
Yep.
cut it easier, I think.
Also, it helps for like if you're doing like a raw crudo.
Yeah.
It helps to
Have to freeze it.
yeah, exactly, just to sort of-
Bacteria and
that's it.
there's
Yeah.
those little worms that can be in there.
Sterilize it, and also
Yep.
it really freshens it up.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're serving it cold,
Yep.
so you want it sort of ice cold. You don't want it sort of you don't want it cold, but you want to have it nice and cold.
Yeah, I get
It's
that.
the same with
Um,
octopus. You have to freeze octopus
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
before you prepare it.
Yeah.
Even if you get it fresh, you gotta have to freeze it.
And why is that?
It's all part of the bacteria story, so the hygiene,
Okay.
but also to get the right texture after that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. It's good to know.
Specifically with octopus.
So, what is it that makes? Because I've had octopus in a few places, it tastes like rubber.
Oh,
What have they done that made that happen?
they haven't respected the cooking time.
Yeah.
They don't know how to cook, basically.
Yeah, okay.
That's the whole thing.
So
Cooking
what-
time is maybe just as important as having the right quality ingredients.
What are they cooking it too long?
Too long or too short?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
that's it. I think
That's
it's
the tricky part of octopus.
Yeah.
I
You
think
gotta
it's
have
like
it
cook
just
it for
right.
yeah. I think like with squid, I think it's like cook it for 30.
Same thing.
Cook it for 30 seconds or cook it for 3 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sort of in and
One
out.
or the other.
Yeah.
Quick and
okay.
fast or long and slow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what are you doing now?
So basically what I've done is I've got my nice fillets. It's very important as well to sort of keep your area clean.
Yeah.
Because if you work badly or dirty, the fish you'll damage the fish. So obviously, as we all know, like fishermen is a hard job. They've gone out and caught this, so it's not like an animal that's being raised. So yeah, basically I've got my nice fillets. I'm happy with that, and I'm just double checking that I'm taking out the pin bones. I've removed the belly bones just there, and just with a finger. I like to use just my natural fingers. Some people like to wear gloves, but I prefer I feel easier. And then I've got some nice tweezers here, just so I can fully get all the pin bones out.
Would you say it's worth having a nice pair of global tweezers as opposed to the cheap ones that cost about €10?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually got these in Japan, but I'm not a fan of the global brand.
Okay.
There is other brands available.
Yeah, of course. But no, I mean, it's something like global. You know, it's at least it's a decent brand. They're going to be more expensive. If you're buying cheap, they could be €8, €9, €10. I find that the metal bends on them. They don't hold together too well.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth having decent equipment, isn't it? And I know it's a bone of contention on yachts, because a lot of chefs, they join a new vessel, they walk on, maybe not pin bones, they're going to probably have their own pair, but a lot of chefs would walk on and see this equipment that just is either outdated, semi-broken, hasn't been kept, serviced.
Equipment is so important.
Yeah, and so when you get to a yacht and you go into the galley for the first time, I mean, you did this last year, you were on 2 different yachts, weren't you?
Yeah.
And it's actually, Pete's story is really interesting, and I think it's worth mentioning. He did what I think is the perfect thing. Tell us what happened to you the first season. So
basically, I met somebody in my previous job, which I was in the chalet, and I got offered an opportunity to be sous chef on board a big vessel, which I was quite happy to do because I was sort of invaluable to my experience.
Like a shot glass, a shot of fish.
Shot glass of fish bones. So it was important to do that and to learn the tricks and the trade, because cooking on a yacht is, as we know, a million times different to actually cooking on
Land.
On land, you've got different factors to consider.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then sort of things came to an end, and then I managed to.
So you had a contract for
a
a
short
time
period,
like 3 months or so.
Yeah, I think it was about that, and then I worked on a private yacht for a private client, which was quite interesting to do the different sizes, boats, and I was sole chef, so I was working on my own, and it was like my natural exposure.
Did you, as somebody who felt that they're a qualified, trained, and experienced head chef, did you feel it was a step down going to a yacht as a sous chef? Because a lot of head chefs would feel that.
No, I didn't think it was a step down, because I knew what I was going to learn was invaluable, and I think sometimes you just have to go with the flow and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to sometimes swallow your pride, and it's difficult because chefs are, in my opinion, artists. And if
Well, it all depends on the kind of chef. You know, chefs at a certain point, when they stop to find pleasure in learning, or getting into new experiences, new techniques, different equipment, trying to use different equipment in a different way. If a chef stops to do that, doesn't matter where you put him, it'll always be a negative experience.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So it's all in the mindset, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Pete something, if I may.
Go for it.
Trained as a Michelin chef, you obviously was in a brigade.
Yeah.
So on a boat, obviously, on a vessel, you're either 2 or only 1. Do you find that a better way to work? Or do you miss that brigade kind of structure?
Yeah, I do. I'm quite social. I do miss sort of talking to people. That's where the music comes in, and you have make sure you have a good playlist, I would always say.
Or listen to It's Just Conjecture podcast.
That's it, by Riviera Gourmet.
Again.
So I think that's important. But also, by the time you are in that position to have that opportunity on a boat, you certainly do become a lot more rounded, and sort of in a brigade of kitchen, you know, like you have different chefs to do different roles.
That's it.
But then when you're on your own, you have to stand on your own 2 feet, and you are the pastry chef, you are the canapé chef, you're the lunch chef, you're the breakfast chef, you're also the main course chef.
And do you find that interesting for you? That's
yeah,
what
no,
makes
I do.
you comfortable?
I mean, some days are uncomfortable, but I do find it.
Those are the days you grow.
At the time when I had several restaurants, at a certain point, I made that decision to go alone in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big decision because you still got to make money, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
there was my husband and I. My husband was front of house, and we decided we're gonna make it smaller. We had like 16 to 18 covers,
Yeah.
but that's what we could handle, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And that made our life so much more pleasurable, and the work too.
Yeah.
Because you have to deal with the pressure, right? And you have to deal with,
Yeah.
on yachts, you are even more under time pressure, I think,
That's it.
than in a restaurant.
I think it's very different jobs, of course. I think the pride you have in your work, in either case, you know,
Absolutely.
you want it to be the best food possible. I
Absolutely.
mean, not always. I mean, if you've been around on TV, go to some restaurants, you wonder why they've got a chef. The kitchen porter could have done it, or the cleaner. I mean, basically, some of the food is atrocious, and those people, I think, need to have a look in the mirror and go, why am I chefing?
Yep.
I mean, we all know the places that we've been to that we go, it's just terrible food. It's so difficult chefing because if you've got a menu you can't handle and you've taken the role on in a restaurant, you're going to probably fail unless you've got a team with you that's amazing. The difference on a yacht is the owner could tonight want sushi
Yep.
and tomorrow want
And you
to
have to
have,
improvise.
you know, Thai food, and the day after Mexican, and the day after Peruvian, and you need to be, I think you need to be able to adapt, and I think that's why a really solid background and culinary training and basically the French skill set means you can do anything.
Yep.
Now you might not have done it before, but you've got the skill set to do it, and I think that's why when you've got a background like yours, it does help massively.
That's it.
Totally. If you don't know your basics, then
What do you think,
you're
Pete?
stuck.
No, I completely agree, and I think also by the time you get to that sort of level, you're sort of looking to do other things. So you would naturally looking to be venturing out on your own as a business, or even sort of you want your own exposure by now. So
Yeah.
and because you feel confident to step away, it's not something that you could do with minimal experience. You need to be like a rounded chef, like you said, if they want sushi tonight, or at least be
Yeah.
able to have compos mentis approach to it and be able to try and not freak out. So just coming back to the dish now, actually, so I've just got some lovely new potatoes, first of the season, so gratte potatoes, just boiled those, and we've just a little bit of herbs and some mint, some salt. We just peeled them down. If I could just ask you to warm that up, actually, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'll try and get
just-
them.
just on a
try and
very,
get- What's
very-
the temperature you're talking? Just low?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Coming back to the sea bream, one thing that if you did have a whole fish on board a boat, I would definitely say to help with wastage is to utilise the carcass for a stock, either like a white stock, or some people are doing like roasted dark stocks, which
Yep.
is quite different, quite interesting. Obviously it's very similar to sea bass, but there you can see we've got rid of a few little bits. There's not much. I've just trimmed up the fillet for aesthetics and just to make it look sort of a nice shape, but you don't need to. And obviously, like those little scraps you can keep and then make a fish mousse, or put in a fish pie for the crew, or fish goujons, and then that becomes a canapé or like
Yeah.
a croquette. So we're
Cool.
always saving that. But if you get 10 fish every now and again, and then you've got that little trick up your sleeve, you can use that.
That's
or
quite a nice idea.
Grandad or something.
Making a little fish croquette's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's quite a good idea.
for a canapé that
Yeah.
Madame might want, or
Yeah.
the owners
Controlling waste is just so
Um,
important,
so
more and more
important.
important.
might want. And it also
Yeah.
adds
And
another
it's
dimension.
Particularly in the yachting industry, I think.
But there you can see the fillet. I'm quite happy with that.
That's
I
great,
think
yeah.
it's well trimmed.
It looks good.
Um,
Now, the other thing is I wanted to ask you about is I've got an opinion. I want to hear your thoughts as chefs.
Do you have,
I
have an opinion,
Can
Damian?
you imagine that? Basically,
Let's start about that.
and this is no way trying to offend anybody, even though it may sound offensive to some people, it's not supposed to be that way. I don't think most people would know the difference between a wild or a farmed fillet. If they went to a restaurant and had sea bass, the sea bass sounds nice because people say that on the menu. They'll go, "Ooh, sea bass sounds nice." Most people wouldn't know whether that piece of fish is wild or whether it's farmed. Now, as a chef, what would you notice immediately on receiving that fish that would indicate whether it's fresh? Sorry, not fresh. You'll know it's fresh. Whether it's it
Frozen
smells means
frozen
it's not,
or not.
but whether it's been wild or farmed.
I
Or
think
frozen.
probably by their size, a lot of the wild basses are a lot bigger. When you get a farm sea bass, you can specify very quickly with the weight how big you actually want it.
Yeah.
So you can actually see there. Yeah, you can definitely tell by size. So to the potatoes, I've just added some. So we've got wild garlic. I've just added a little bit of pickled. With the stems, I've pickled them down. I've also just pickled a little bit of cucumber for a different dimension. And then now I'm cooking the sea bream. It's sort of, I like to cook it in vegetable oil. Just because I find it gets a little bit hot. And then what I'm going to do is start it in veg oil. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of nice olive oil here. Not too high in omega oils. And I'm just going to sort of baste it in a bit of olive oil. I find that a lot of my cookery in the summer is with olive oil.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my cookery in the winter is dairy. Because that's what they demand.
Yeah.
Whereas in the chalet this season, a lot of cream, a lot of butter.
Yeah.
Obviously, with dairy-free alternatives, if there is dairy-free clients.
And I think if people are being extremely active on a ski holiday, they don't mind maybe having a little bit more creamy, buttery style stuff because they're going to be using that energy every day.
That's it.
And you do need a lot of energy if you're on the mountain. I notice when I'm skiing, those days I'm, restaurant in the evening, I'll eat all sorts of food I normally wouldn't because I know in the day I'm on the mountain 6-7 hours, skiing, running around like a fool, and I'm going to use that energy up. I'm not a massive fan of cooking with sunflower oil.
Yeah.
What
and that's
about
one of the
grapeseed
reasons.
oil?
Sorry?
Grapeseed oil?
Yeah.
Say again?
Grapeseed oil?
I don't like any. I don't
No.
cook with any seed oil.
I know
at
you're
all.
a big olive oil fan.
I'm against seed oil cooking. I think that I just don't like the flavours once you heat them.
Okay.
But that's just personal.
Just yeah, I'd agree. To be honest, just going back to the fish, it's important to have like a nice heat in the pan. You don't want it too hot, but you don't want it too cold that it's going to stick. Also, you want a very good non-stick pan. I think that on a boat, you want to have pans that you can rely on. You want to have nice non-stick pans.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is just, you see when I put the fish in the pan, I don't know if you saw, but it sort of curled up a bit.
Let's move it over to this
Yeah.
one so we can see that on the camera because I put the camera in the wrong place. Let me turn that up. What
It's
temperature
still
do you want?
standing, though.
5 Yeah, 5 is
So if
good.
you pop
Yeah.
that over that side, let me
And
move
then
this
if that,
over here
that
and keep
could
it
just
nice
be on
and
number
warm.
2.
Move that down to.
So one thing is that when you add the fish to the pan is that you it naturally, because you add in a cold fish to a hot pan, it will just curl up. So I just added my fingers to that to add a weight. You can actually get sort of meat fish weights.
I'm not. Are you a fan of those?
It depends on the fish and depends on how much you're doing.
Okay.
But yeah.
I see what you did there. You just held it down when it was that first heat,
Yeah.
so it didn't curl. Because as soon as it hits, it's going to curl.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite a nice little skill that you had.
Also, what I've done is I've put a few score marks in the fillet.
That's what I got nice.
Which just help it. So what I want to do is sort of cook it sort of 2/3 of the way up the fillet, and then I'm literally just going to turn it over, a little bit of nice olive oil, squeeze a lemon, reheat my garnish in there, and that should be it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
it's
about 3 to 4 minutes.
keeping it simple is
That's
such
it.
an important thing. If you've got your owner says there's 8 of us tonight, and then 10 minutes before he gets a phone call from his mate on another boat,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden there's 3 more people, you need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so you need to be able to do something quick, easy.
Yeah.
You go, okay, I need 3 more fillets, easy peasy.
And then sort of when you do sort of bigger numbers, so obviously we're doing 1 plate here today. When you do the boat sort of a plate of 10 fish, whatever, what I would do is I would seal all my fillets, put them on a nice non-stick tray, just have them so they're just cooked, not fully cooked, and then just when it's 10 fish, just nip them in the oven,
That's
2 to
it.
3 minutes, and it's done.
Yep.
And of course, as we came back to earlier, how you do the prep, that saves you a lot of time.
Yeah.
So if you have 20 guests, you just order 20 fillets from you. You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
they're all going to be the same size, prepped by a fishmonger.
Yeah.
And then you just
Pin boned,
yeah,
trimmed,
pin boned,
all the same shape and size if you need
I still double check them just to be safe because nothing worse than getting a piece of fish with a bone.
So,
So and then yeah, you'd naturally seal them off, have them on a tray ready to go. So as you can see there, that's it's just cooking now, nice, a bit gentle. I'm hoping for a nice golden brown finish, but we'll just keep going a
I'm
little bit
interested
longer.
to see how they cook. You can see how they're cooking. It's a very gradual process coming through, which means you're not going to be overcooking that flesh at all.
No,
It's translucent at the top, but you can see it's starting to gradually cook
Yeah,
through. It looks
the
really
best.
nice. Yeah.
that's
The
it.
best.
So I'm now, so I've got some beautiful French asparagus. I've just blanched that. I'm just going to run that in the pan with the nice olive oil and the lemon. With the stems, I've got, because obviously you've got 3 parts to the asparagus. You've got the tops, you've got the
Move
middle,
this over a little bit
and
so
then
you
you've
can get that
got
on camera.
the woody bit at the bottom. So you'd naturally just lose the woody bit, and then if you wanted to peel it, you can make a stock.
Yep.
And different. I'm sort of using up the inner parts of the asparagus. We've got some lovely green olives, just for a bit of saltiness, and I've added a bit of the green sauce which we made with the wild garlic that wasn't the best. Some basil, some nice herbs. Blanched it to take out the aggression.
Yeah.
It's quite aggressive. Olive oil, a little bit of whole grain mustard just for a bit of difference. A bit of lemon zest.
So when you're cooking off the wild garlic, it can be quite bitter, can't it?
That's
so how do you get rid of that bitterness in it?
Just blanch it for 3 to 4.
That just
seals
the deal.
Takes it out. And what I've got here is some of the nice wild garlic leaves. Sometimes it varies in quality. I'm just going to nip them in the pan, so I'm going to cook them and almost use them like spinach. Like very quick wilt.
Nice. I think they'll actually be really lovely with the olive oil. The Venta del Baron is the kind of thing you can use to heat. Now it's obviously not a cooking oil, but it can be heated. And I think what you're doing here, cooking the final part with a nice bit of olive oil, is fantastic, because I don't think you can get a more versatile oil than this. I think it's got a great flavour, but it allows you to heat it slightly. If you use a cooking olive oil, then for me,
comes too rough.
Yeah, it's got that oily flavour almost, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, but that rough part.
Yeah, it's got that rough.
Yeah.
So I think having a really high level olive oil for that final bit is nice.
Also, if
you're looking for something, can I help you?
Yeah, just a small tray. I might use a small pan actually, just transfer that. Yeah, also with like a very nice olive oil, you don't want to. That's for finishing. That's sort of olive oils are for dressings. You can use like a pomace oil, which is all about the pressing process and how much it's sort of pressed 3 times. It's not the first press. So naturally you'd use that for sort of vinaigrettes, the first press. So with this, I'm literally just going to take it off the heat and then not show the pan any more heat, and then use that as a dressing.
Nice.
So I'm not fully cooking the olive oil.
Yeah. I think it's a really good skill to be able
It's
to
nice
do that.
because the temperature also, if it's not too high, it'll bring out the flavours of the olive oil much better.
Yeah, just a little bit, but obviously with olive oil, you don't want to take it above about 55, I think it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, the actual the recent scientific data has changed. A recent paper came out. Whether it's true, I don't know, but it's a recent paper came out, because I read that kind of stuff because I'm quite boring. And it was talking about the actual heat point of olive oil is completely nowhere near where people think it is.
Yeah.
And they're now saying that you can heat it a lot higher than you thought you could before it would become a problem. But I think you do lose the flavour when you do that. So for me, I think the way you're doing it is absolutely perfect. Use the heat of the pan, put the oil in, give it that little flash at the end, and you're going to get those flavours. So yes, you probably could heat it more without it killing you, but you're going to lose the flavour of the olive oil.
Damian, can I just ask you to warm that up, please?
I'm not doing a very good job.
No.
You keep saying warming it up. I keep putting it on too hot.
So I'm just going to add the diced olives with some of the olives, and then I've just got some the middles of the asparagus. If you warm that up, that'd be great.
Cool.
And then I sort of did the asparagus first, because obviously that'll take a bit longer to get warm, and then just gone in with the wild garlic very last, and then the lovely olive oil.
That smells lovely. What have you put in this?
So in there is some pickled cucumber, olive centres diced, a little bit of green sauce just to help it along.
You can really smell that pickle in there.
That's it.
It's lovely, yeah.
Almost like a gherkin effect, if you will.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
So I just added a little bit of lemon to the fish. I'm just going to take out this now. Happy with the cooking on that. Then I've got my asparagus, which is nicely warmed up. Almost ready to plate, actually. It's that simple.
Have you got a nice plate?
I have, yeah. I've got a nice. I think a black plate would look quite nice. Just different greens, condescending. Okay. So you can see now the wild garlic has gone sort of springy and sort of leafy, shall we say. I'm just going to take that out of the pan there now. Save that. I'm just going to save. Yeah. Why not? A little bit of fish oil.
Of course you are.
Just going to add that, which will help to warm up the green sauce. That's that. Of course, as you can see, naturally on a boat, there's never actually a pot wash. Coming back to what you said earlier, in a kitchen, you would have a Brigade of pot wash.
That's the only thing I miss from a Brigade.
you are a pot wash as well. Fortunately,
you do everything.
We have.
You have to. This is why you have to be also much better organized
That's it. Clean. Try and be as efficient
Clean.
as you can.
And limit all the dishes, actually,
Of
basically.
course, some of my team will tell me that go mad at me for the amount of washing up I've done, which is always the way. So that's that. I'll just show you this, Damian. Sorry. Yeah. So I think that's me almost good to plate.
Okay, let's do it.
It's a crushed potato. It's not. Yeah.
Camera.
That's it. Yeah. If we could just have the camera down to focus on that, would be great.
We need to get some of that special music at this point that we play that sort of drums up the
Yeah, build up that suspense.
the suspension passion of it. That's what we should do next time, because I think plating the food is like such an important part of it, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. So
When you're trained in a restaurant, I mean, part of it is going to be basically plating up to make it look good, because you can cook amazing food and it look terrible and it's not appetizing.
Well,
Whereas
the visual part is really, really important. That's when you first start tasting your dish, actually.
absolutely,
Well,
It
that's
has to
yeah.
be good for the eyes.
yeah.
you,
So is that a long process? I mean, what's the tips and tricks of plating something up and looking nice, chef?
I don't know. Just be confident with it. Confident in yourself as well.
Yeah.
And often, sort of, a lot of chefs will gravitate to what they've done before or how their chef has always plated. But I think have some fun with it as well, and don't be too rigid with it. I think.
Yeah.
Well, there's some talent also needed.
100%,
You know,
yeah.
you have to have that feeling, but what is pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
I know the famous trick you always use, ampere numbers.
Yeah, exactly. You
That's
always,
so silly, but
You always use what? Sorry, odd numbers.
odd
Odd
numbers.
numbers,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
That's my French coming out.
I think
So, yeah,
as
but
well.
And colours.
Yeah.
Colours, very important.
Yeah.
I think let the produce sing for itself as well. I think if you get the best produce, it's going to
Gonna make things
it's a lot easier to put on a plate.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
certainly with the produce that you get from Riviera Gourmet is
Gourmet.
Gourmet.
Who's that?
well, the produce is gourmand by the time you finish with it.
Nicely done.
You know,
Very good. Good
so,
save. Good save.
We like that. Thea, do you want to come and join us? And
Oh,
you
I'd
can come
love
around
to.
that way and through there. and
I've
then
been
you can come and have a little
controlling
taste.
myself not to go there.
You can come and have a little taste of this dish and tell us what you think.
So this is basically summer on a plate, spring as well. Flavour Town. So you've got lots of different layers
Yeah,
of
go for
flavours.
Okay.
Take a fork. Let's have a
Yeah.
go.
This is wild garlic green sauce, lemon zest, a
Ooh,
little bit of olive
Nice.
Go for
oil,
it. Taste.
mustard, lovely crushed potatoes, wild garlic fresh, sea
some of
bass,
that.
Amazing.
sea bream, golden brown, and some lovely green olives.
So would you say that this is a sort of a light lunch dish
Yeah.
that you would serve?
Absolutely,
that
or
sauce.
even like
I love it. That's amazing.
yeah.
The potato is absolutely fantastic.
and it just all works together.
Mm.
Even you could do it as a starter if you did a very small portion.
Let's cut right into
Like,
that. Let's see what we can. Let's
Ooh,
get some fish here.
savage.
Yeah, well, got to try it. Basically, I'm not a huge fish fan, but I eat white fish, but I don't eat much other
I love
than
fish.
white fish.
Yeah,
But
And
that
I'm
is
very veggie oriented, so
that's
yeah,
cooked
that's sauce. I'm going
absolute.
to steal your recipe.
And the reason I don't eat the fish that much, there's a few reasons. One of them is because it's cooked poorly in a lot of places. That is cooked absolutely perfection. If I was going to order something, that's how I'd want it cooked.
yeah.
You've done it to perfection.
Also, because if you fillet a fish, you naturally going to cook it better. Sometimes I think if you have 10 fillets that's given to you, well, certainly as a younger chef, if you have 10 fillets that are just naturally given to you, then you
don't
you know-
respect it. as
Yeah,
much.
you know there's another 10 fillets coming somewhere.
Do you think so?
Well, I mean, psychologically you're going to
Mm.
have, because I spent a bit of time, I wanted to look after the fish, so I wanted to show it some appreciation. And coming back to your thing about plating, I think
Amazing.
a lot of it really helps having a nice plate to put it on.
Totally.
And then I sort of work backwards. I look at the
Totally.
plate and think, how am I going to plate it?
Mm.
Rather than just having the generic sort of plates. It's all about the plate, and that sort of brings the dish together.
Harmonizes it, yeah.
And
I must say, personally, I am not a fan of these kind of plates.
Oh, why?
It's black.
Because
and
the
it's
sound they make when you
noisy,
put your knife and
yeah.
fork on them.
yeah.
Yeah, I hate it.
Really?
Yeah, I hate it.
Wow. I actually quite like the slate look. I think it's really cool, and I think you can put colours on there on, on a slate look. For me, a gloss plate, I agree, you don't get the sound, but the presentation is always a bit different.
It's different.
But again, you know, it doesn't matter when the food is this good.
Totally agree.
That's
When it tastes like that, when it tastes that
This
perfect,
is perfectly cooked.
I don't care what
asparagus.
plate it, or you could have put it on a napkin for me. I'd be happy.
That's
But there, You've just joined Riviera Gourmet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Now, I want your opinion on this. Now, as a yacht chef, you know, you're not going to know all the provisioning companies. You're going to be looking maybe for a company that can help you get the best produce. You've got a lot of experience, and I think the big difference when now you've joined us is that when you go out to see chefs and introduce the company, you've got food knowledge.
Yep.
You know what they're going through, and I think that's the key in this industry. Is when you're dealing with a yacht, you know, my job is to make sure they keep theirs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And if you know the
And
food, you know the time
And
constraints.
if you can relate and identify with a chef, as I am a chef, then you speak the same language. You just gain so much more time instead of explaining what is what and why you need that quality and why you need that brand and what you're going to do with it.
Well, yeah.
Like the olive oil we just had. Typically what the chef said, you use a good quality olive oil at the end.
Yeah.
Don't waste it on silly cooking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so this is how you also can tell the chef or advise the chef, hey, maybe think about this.
But
think
it's also
that.
about education. I
And
don't mean
cost
that
as well.
disrespectfully.
Absolutely.
Say again.
Cost as well.
Yeah. Budget.
So you've got cost. I mean, obviously, with some yachts, you're going to have budgets for charters, things like that. Definitely for crew food, without question. On some of the larger vessels, there's no budget for the guest food, of course, but it depends. You can't.
There's
can't-
always a budget.
Yeah. And it's always something that will be discussed with the clients, of course. But I think when I say education, it's not about
Pass that on to me.
It's
And I'll
not, it's
pass
not
that
about
on over there.
educating chefs on stuff they know. Not every chef knows what's available, what's local,
Yep.
what's fresh. And I'm a big fan of eating what's fresh and local at
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
So for me, in the summer, red pepper's a big one. I talk about it a lot. My supplier, as soon as it's fresh, as in the season for red pepper in France, he sends me a tray of it because he knows that he's confirming, Damian, it's arrived, it's
Yeah.
here. I don't like Spanish and Dutch red peppers. They look orange, there's no flavour. They're grown in a tent. I love the French, beautiful red ones in that lovely
Yeah.
dark colour.
Yeah.
If you were blindfolded and you tasted it, you go, it's red pepper. And for me, that makes your job easier
That's it.
because you've got the flavour on the plate that
Yeah,
shouts.
on a yacht chef doesn't have the time to try this one, try that one.
Yeah.
He has to rely on that provider to give the best products and to give the best advice also.
Yeah.
Obviously, if he wants to use peppers for crew, that's going to be a different matter. It's
Of
going to
course,
be a
yeah.
different pepper. So there you go. This is where, as a chef, you can speak the same language, you go the same way. You know what the conditions are. When you're on the galley, non-stop, like 24 hours a day, you know, you don't want to have that
You want to know
hassle.
what's in season, don't
That's
you?
it.
Yeah.
You don't even know where you are.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, just keep on going, and you have to have that trust relationship, and that is what I find very, very important in a yacht provider, and in this case, Riviera Gourmet. I've known you for years.
Yeah, long time.
The trust is a very, very important thing in any supplier. Even when I had my restaurants on land, if you cannot rely on your supplier, you're basically FUCK.
Yeah, you're
right?
done, aren't you? And it's such an important
And
factor.
I've had
yeah.
so many. Of course, Christmas time, New Year's time, I had needed my fillets, didn't get them.
Yeah,
Or I got them like that small,
Yeah, wrong.
that big. Or
causes chaos. What do you think your biggest challenge will be when you're out and about, going to visit yachts, for the first time you're meeting a chef, he doesn't know who you are, you don't know who he is. What do you think your biggest challenge will be?
well, exactly that. Not knowing each other.
Yeah,
But it's also the nice part, because that's the way you can build up a relationship.
yeah,
And yeah, also to make sure that they know that I'm not there to hassle them.
yeah,
I'm there to give them a plus, right?
Yeah.
Then you need a friend,
yeah,
so
yeah,
to
yeah.
speak. And of course, there are a lot of people out there who promise the same thing. I think trust makes a big difference to
Yeah.
actually do the thing. It's
Yeah.
not just to talk.
You're right. I mean, look, every provisioner provides great food and does an amazing job. I'm not going to pretend that they don't.
Exactly.
They do, absolutely.
Otherwise, they'd go bankrupt.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, I think a sort of feather in your cap is you've got support behind you, where we've got
Exactly.
lots. We use a lot of tech. We use a lot of future tech that we want to integrate into the business to make things easier, because I don't want to waste your time.
No.
I want him to be cooking and doing his thing, not dealing with bullshit, with provisions, with
Yep.
provisioners, changing his provisioner halfway through the season because it's all gone pear-shaped. I mean, the accidents happen, problems happen, but when things go wrong, you need somebody who goes, I'll support you to make it right.
Yeah.
And we all can forgive that. We know we're busy. Chefs are going to be
Always
busy.
looking
They're going
for
to make
solutions.
mistakes in the galley sometimes, and you want your guests to be able
That's
to go. The food's been amazing. Okay, we had one issue there, but it's not the end of the world. It's
Yeah.
going to happen in a busy season, isn't it?
is.
And the part that I like a lot in this business is that you can be, I want to be that lifesaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
That's the wow.
You're a
can-
helper.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
We as chefs couldn't do a job without you guys.
Yeah.
And just having that connection where you pick up the phone and have that relationship that
Yep.
you know, and then if I order 10 peppers, you kind of know which peppers I like,
Yeah.
and you know the quality, so we're not going back and forth. And it's
Well,
something that, yeah.
totally the nice story that I heard from someone very professional in the business is that as a chef, you see an order coming in and you say, hey, you forgot the eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I wonder who that person
we
was.
talked about that a lot. I think that's another key point. If you are in a rush and send your order in, I don't look at it and go, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I look at it and go, is there any red flags on here?
Yeah, that's
So if
it.
you ordered, like a couple of weeks ago, somebody ordered on our new online system, hot smoked paprika.
Oh yeah.
Now I know nobody orders hot smoked
Yeah.
paprika, so I literally texted him and went, just checking, you've got hot smoked paprika, is that what you wanted or you want
Yeah.
the sweet? And he just texts back, that's why I work with you. Of
Yeah,
course I don't
yeah.
want hot. But it's knowing that. Why are there no
Absolutely.
eggs on the order? You've just been away for 2 weeks at sea on a charter, you probably need eggs. You put an order in, there aren't any. I'm going to say to you, do you forget the eggs?
And
you have to check.
That is the proof that if you are a chef and you know how
Yeah.
it goes, you know the basic ingredients that you need.
Yeah.
If it's missing, you can immediately.
If there's
get-
no butter
if
there,
you don't
you know.
if you're not a chef, you don't know how to cook. Or,
Yeah.
You know, then you don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Absolutely, and it happens when you're busy on a chef. And I think
Always.
any chef on a yacht needs a backup. I think probably every provisioner
Yeah.
does that service.
Yeah.
But I know what we do, and I think it's a bit better and a bit different. Of course, otherwise I shouldn't be in business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the passion for food, obviously.
Yeah, well,
And
I mean,
that's as a yacht chef, any chef, you have to have that passion
yeah.
for food.
Well, all the chefs have got that passion. I mean, you
That's
basically,
it, yeah.
you know,
If
when
you
we
don't,
first
then you're not on
we
the right
first
place.
met, he's like,
You're not
what's
happy.
available, what's local, what's fresh.
Yeah.
The questions that came out of him were just like, because we didn't know each other.
No, we didn't.
He came to meet me and he just threw one question after another, and I was like, right, this guy wants the right information,
Yeah.
and that's important too, isn't it?
That's it.
How often do yacht chefs test their providers?
I mean, you don't really, you don't have much time to test them, and you only get really
No, but
like.
before choosing one.
I
It's a
mean,
good
a lot of
question, yeah.
times you don't get the opportunity because you could be in Italy and you've
Yeah.
just got to deal with what you've got to deal with because you're moving that fast,
Okay.
and then 1 minute boats in Italy and then next it's in Saint-Tropez or something.
Yeah,
Take
yeah,
it
yeah.
off,
I
so-
think that's true. I think basically when you're on a yacht, you turn up in Naples, you use a local guy. Unless you're a size of vessel that's going to be doing orders with your provider and they're going to bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of places in Greece, you know, you're not going to have a grand's worth of stuff brought out to you from south of France. You're going to use a local provider and try and stock up before you go,
Yeah.
even on a
Might be
smaller
organised.
vessel.
Yeah.
You're going to
That's
try and
all about being organized.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It doesn't mean, you know, bigger vessels won't have deliveries all over the world. Of course they will, and we deliver globally. But if you're in Greece, you know, you're going to want to buy your feta from there, aren't you?
Exactly.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to buy
No
local
brainer.
Greek feta,
Sure.
maybe.
That's
You
it.
get a chance to whiz on the tender in the morning, go into the local market. What's here? How can I make the clients go, wow, this is proper, fresh Greek produce? And I think that's what every chef would want to do, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think as a yacht chef too, you got that part of storytelling.
That's
Yeah.
it.
How
yeah.
did you get that ingredient? And people love that.
That's
that
it.
shows
It's-
your passion.
A lot of it is about telling a story, and it might be an ingredient that the guests haven't seen. Certainly on one of the boats we're using butter hands.
Amazing.
Citrus
Yeah,
butter
yeah,
hands.
yeah. Just use the skin on the
And that's
outside.
it. And even just put it on the table, and everyone starts thinking, show them, show and tell, and that sort
Yeah.
of thing, and put it in cocktails. So it's telling that
They're all
story.
foodies anyway.
It's
so
one of my
Yeah,
favourite.
obviously they're
One of my
interested.
favourite citrus fruits. Basically, I first found it. I can't even remember. I think it was in Thailand at the time, and I saw it. I bought one. I cut it all up. I sat there. I
What is
dehydrated
this? What do I
it.
do with it?
What can I do with it? The pith is horrible. Take that. You know, there's no juice inside. What the hell's going on? Nobody taught me. I literally got it and chopped it, and then
Yeah.
I thought, right. And now what I do is that when that's in season, I take off the outside. I dehydrate it. I
Yeah.
put it in a jar. I use it. Either I used to be a gin and tonic drinker, so I'd put a bit in for that, which
Oh,
was
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, I'm not drinking, so I use it, powder it down, put it in my lemon meringue pie, things like that.
Yeah,
Give it
yeah.
that extra little zesty, sort of Asian, citrusy flavour, which is so cool. You could
Yeah.
use yuzu, of course. You could use bergamot in the
Yeah.
winter. I mean, bergamot. Oh no, it's not here. It was removed from the shelf because it looked ugly because I had it in a silly container. But every winter, dehydrate that skin of the bergamot, have it in a spice jar, and then use it whenever you need it. I don't completely dehydrate it because I find the flavour goes, obviously. But we actually was just talking to a company yesterday about having freeze-dried powders, freeze-dried fruit and vegetables, and even freeze-dried ice cream, all this kind of weird stuff, all in these small pots. You can have a nice variety, and I think having some of those little flavours sometimes can really boost a dessert.
And it's personalised.
That's it. Yours. Yeah, no, I think it actually worked quite well with the Pavlova, I think.
It would. Maybe we'll have a think about that.
Yeah, what an idea.
What we'll do now is... yeah, Kate's looking at me going, hello. Basically, for those of you who do know us, you'd probably know that this is a big anniversary coming up this Sunday. For those of you who don't, we've recently moved to this building which we're in now. We built a beautiful test kitchen, podcast studio, amazing warehouse, all of these great things, and even Wonka's coffee house next door for our team here, so they can have a great place to chill and have a coffee and a lunch. But basically, this Sunday, it's a year since we had our launch party here at what we like to call Wonka's Fantastic Factory. And Kate's done a little video to show you the party we had, just to give you an idea of what we get up to here at Riviera Gourmet.
Saturday Yacht Kitchen.
Proud of this place that we built, and hopefully every chef, every chief stew, every deckhand, every captain, every yacht broker and every management company is welcome here any day of the week. The doors are always open, and Wonka's Fantastic Coffee House is always available for a nice cappuccino with a bit of vanilla powder on top, and of course some nice smoked sugar if that's your thing. So give us a shout if you want to come and have a tour or have a taste in our kitchen. But right now it's time for us to have a dessert. I like to do desserts. I think for me, I want to know what you think as a restaurant chef as well. Again, I'm not going to be opinionated, but I'm going to express an opinion.
Can't help yourself.
I'm absolutely a massive believer that the last thing you should have in a restaurant is something that makes you go, I want to go back. And I think your starter, your main doesn't do that. Your dessert does it. Your dessert is what people remember because it's the last thing they've eaten before they've left. And I think if you go to a Michelin restaurant or a really cool place, they will always have extra cool things at the end. Even if you don't have a dessert and you have a coffee or you have a glass of water, they'll have a little plate of something cool they'll bring out. We're actually going to be doing a video on something like that for Easter next week, which Kate doesn't know about, but it's going to be fantastic.
I take it even further than that, because it goes up to that last cup of coffee.
Yeah.
How many restaurants serve crappy coffee?
Well, yeah.
You know,
we could name them, couldn't we?
Well, we won't,
because they're in every restaurant, everywhere you go. And
it's like crazy.
Quality coffee, yeah.
It's just really bad coffee, and then they start to economize on the kind of coffee or the bread. Well, bread is so important.
And again, I've been to some really nice restaurants. I'm lucky enough I get invited to quite a lot of nice places, and the amount of really nice places I go to where the food is amazing, and the bread comes out at the start, and it's cold, and it's obviously not as fresh as it could be.
Or it's just
there's no
bad
butter,
bread.
there's no olive oil. There may be olive oil, but there's no salt. I want to have a little dip and a plate. I want to know whether their olive oil's nice in the restaurant. Do they care about olive oil? Because I went to a place last week, the olive oil was awful, and the salt was basically that ionized, crappy, like it looks like it's chalk. We were talking about that earlier with meringue, weren't we? But basically, really cheap stuff they put in the shakers. I'm like, I don't want to eat that. I want a nice smoked salt. I've got one here. I love it. A nice smoked salt, which you know, when you have something like this on the plate, maybe you can just put that camera down. So this sort of salt here, this is my tester, beautiful salt. If you get that with Venta del Barrel and you have some nice warm little bread, you're basically going to just feel great.
It's,
you know,
a lot of it counts in the little things, and this is why I love the yacht chef industry.
Yeah.
Because they have to
Impress.
supply an experience. It's not just the food.
Yeah.
It's the experience, hence the storytelling.
Yeah.
Of course, and to keep that eye on those details, because that's what makes the experience special.
it makes it fun. Going out for dinner should be fun. It should be enjoyable.
Absolutely.
And on a yacht, it's the same thing. Every time food is coming, you can see people like, wow, what are we going to have now?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a charter
Exciting.
vessel, you know?
Absolutely.
Because
That's
you
it.
can flair. You can say to people, this is who I am. And so we have a little dessert that you're going to
Yeah, so
tell us what we're having, what we have.
So this is actually, we're actually going to demonstrate meringues, a bit smaller, which is quite good if you have bigger numbers. But of course, you could make a Pavlova if it was a celebration, or if it was maybe 5 people, sort of thing.
More family style that way.
Family style to share, they sort of get a bit messy. Sort
What
of
do you
thing.
prefer, a large Pavlova that looks amazing or individuals?
I probably prefer individuals.
Me
just
too.
Because
Yeah.
it's, everyone knows that they get the right size portion. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
That too.
And how long can you
And there's
keep?
no hassle to cut it.
You can keep them in an airtight container for 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it actually helps out the chef quite well because on board a boat, if you get bottles of so sorry, I wasn't in shot then. It's quite helpful on a boat because you can get pasteurized egg whites, and then you can you can
You're too close by.
You're standing too close.
Yeah. You're hovering.
you can get the pasteurized egg whites, so you can have a bottle of that. You don't have to stud there separating 20 egg yolks or whatever it is, or
Yeah.
egg whites sort of thing.
What about the frozen ones? Do you like the frozen?
You can get frozen, obviously.
Frozen what?
Egg whites.
Egg
Oh,
white.
really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
got on little containers, and you just
You can
use
freeze them,
and you
that's
take them,
fine,
freeze them,
yeah.
and
I didn't even know that existed. So it's
Yeah.
frozen egg white.
yep, or
yolks.
entire eggs or
And
yolks.
basically, what do you do? How do you defrost that correctly? Is that moving or is it okay?
Ah, not sure.
I was trying to make it moving.
Oh yeah, I
What's
think
wrong,
we
tell me.
defrost them, and I think
I cannot see there.
Because
Ah.
of this.
No, because of like it's up.
You're
like,
out of
too
focus.
big.
so sorry. We
Guys,
can
move everything into
we
the
can
middle.
change that.
No problem. We'll put it in the middle. It's all good. We don't need
End of
hot
the
plate, do we?
table, there.
Yeah, let's move it in the middle. Good idea. It's difficult from here when we're doing the show sometimes to know what's on camera and what's not. I
Well,
need an
that's
earpiece
live.
with you so you can tell me what to do. But that would get annoying because I think she'd keep telling me what to do.
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah, is that cool?
Hallelujah.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, for meringues, basically you want to have your egg whites. You want to have a clean bowl, which is quite
Oh,
important.
very important.
You degrease it. So what I did here, I just
Once you turn it on, we're going to have to all speak up.
I won't talk too much, and I'll turn it off.
And
But,
then you can eat blueberries.
I gave it a good wipe out first with a bit of acid to kill the grease. So we've got the egg whites in there. So what we're going to process is we're just going to take the egg whites to their soft peaks, and then I've got my sugar weighed out. It's important to weigh everything out, I feel, with meringues, and you want to just slowly add the sugar bit by bit to not overload it. Keep the mixer going. It's a lot easier by doing it with a sort of Kenwood chef.
Yeah.
Everyone should have a Kenwood chef.
How do you
Absolutely.
feel about KitchenAids in general?
Okay, bye.
Are you not a fan?
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
Really?
Kenwoods are built to last, I feel. And my parents had one of these for their wedding present. It's God knows how long, but it's still going strong.
Still in the box.
I still
No,
have,
no, it's a lot of use.
I
a
still
lot of
have
use.
my mum's, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
go away. I got that from her. So
Yeah, oh, wow. It's the original.
and it's multifunctional. You
That's
can put
it.
all the
Multi-purpose.
and it's all standard, so you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about does it fit, which model.
And I
or-
did notice on the KitchenAid they've got a few different models where one attachment will not fit the other model. And actually, you need to be super careful when you're buying.
well,
the
it's
pieces
the
that
older
go on.
models or the newer models.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
It's
and you
like
can actually
Sonos
go on
did
the
that.
website and check the
check.
models, and then they will suggest which items are compatible or not.
Yeah, but that's the
wow.
problem. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want things to be a pain in the ass.
No, if you
Kenwood,
just
I
stick
think
with the new
about-
models, then they're all good.
Yeah.
Especially on a boat, you want to put that trust into not just your suppliers, but your equipment.
And how do you feel about the Thermomix?
Oh, yeah. No, that is good.
Yeah.
Because it
Is
also...
is that your always
yeah, I mean,
equipment you take everywhere you go?
the thermo is good because it it's like a chef in itself. So you can set it off to make a hollandaise or a green oil, get into
Yep.
temperature, and you can just set it off in a corner doing a process. And when you're on your own as a sole chef, you want to be able to
That's
have that.
good.
So it's just like a rice cooker, which is really good.
Totally.
Just set it off in the corner, weigh it out, and it does cooks your rice for you.
Mm.
You say thank you at the end. So it's a godsend, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just got my whites in here. I'm just going to turn it onto a medium speed.
So when you're doing this,
When you're doing this.
so basically when you're doing this, you want to get them into a peak, don't you?
Yep.
So how far can you go before it's too far?
Well, it depends if you use the lemon or not, Damian.
Okay.
So that's an important thing. How far you see it. I don't really. I'm not very strong in measuring every little thing. It's the eyes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like cooking time. You have to feel it. And this is why I'm a very bad pastry chef.
Yeah.
Actual pastry is.
Speak up.
You have to be technical and you have to weigh every single thing. And when I was doing my desserts in my restaurants, they're a very different kind of desserts.
Yeah. I'll come over to you.
Sure.
Basically, let's talk about it. Whilst you're doing that, we'll come over here. So tell us a little bit about your restaurant that you had, because you had a restaurant in the south of France
several.
not so long ago.
I've had several. I in fact went on a 12-year Tour de France.
Oh really?
A culinary tour through France.
Where were you originally?
So started from the Riviera. And first stop was in Yacht.
Oh yeah. Whereabouts?
Very near to Chamonix.
Okay.
Yeah. And from there went to Burgundy.
Wow.
From Burgundy went to the Pays de Loire,
Yeah.
La Loire Valley,
Yeah.
as you say in English.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
after 12 years came back to the Riviera.
And
So
then
every
you got
time
back here.
starting up a restaurant,
Did you start restaurants in each place? Wow. That's
all of them
amazing.
with creations. Except the last one in here on the Côte d'Azur. That was something we took over, which was actually a bad mistake.
Really why?
Because eventually we just put it all down and did it ourselves anyway.
Yeah. So you
But then we
completely
had to pay
changed.
for it. Right?
Yeah. That's the problem,
That was
isn't
a
it?
waste of money.
And so, over your years in the different places in France, would you say that the way people eat and the type of food they eat is massively different? Or do you think French people are always looking for that same plate?
No, I think it's very different. I like working with very seasonal products, fresh, good quality, and everybody likes that. Whatever you do with it.
Okay, so that's the trick I'd say for any restaurants to have nice, good quality seasonal produce. Keep it simple, keep the plate, the plate fresh, and
Yeah.
you're rocking and rolling.
And I'm very pro less ingredients, but the best.
Yeah.
That's my kind of cooking.
Okay.
So again, sourcing that you guys do here at Riviera Gourmet, that is something so important for a good provider. Obviously price-wise, but definitely quality-wise, seasonal, if possible local, if it's good. But I prefer not local, but have a better product.
So you are originally from Holland, right?
No, actually I'm Singapore born.
Okay, so you were born in Singapore, but you're
Born in
half Dutch?
Singapore, half Dutch, half Chinese.
Okay, and so
Nobody's perfect.
so basically,
And I'm a woman in addition.
what is your favourite food to eat? If you have your most favourite dish now, what would it be?
I'll have some of that asparagus that Pete did.
It was nice, wasn't
That
it?
was
Yeah.
really good.
That was
And that
really good.
green sauce going with it. Ah.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Anything that's tasty, that's honest. I am very pro healthy food.
Yeah.
So I'm really good with that olive oil that you have there. I do not like butter. I would really only use that for adding some elements to the dish.
It's an interesting
not as
question.
a basic ingredient.
I am the same as you. I literally at home
No,
I
you're
don't
not.
even have butter. I don't even have butter. I just don't have it. But it does make a difference when you're cooking some things. Sometimes I cook, especially at Christmas time, I do a few dishes, and the butter just makes a difference, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
That's it.
What do you think?
Yeah, you've got to have. I feel like salted butter's the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't do
The good crystals to it.
absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt.
Even
but
for pastry. I would
Even
use
if
it.
you're doing scallops, for example, I think butter's an essential.
Yeah, that's
if
it.
you're pan frying, you know.
Well, you know,
That's
that lemon butter sauce that you can
Oh, yeah,
use for all kinds of fish. Like
That's it. Yeah, lemon
fresh
butter
caught
sauce.
fish that you have on the boat that just came
Yeah.
in, and you put that fast on the plancha,
Yeah.
and just that lovely buttery lemony sauce.
Especially with like scallops with maybe a bit of pancetta
Lobster.
through there. Oh,
Lobster.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You've done something interesting here, haven't you?
Yeah, I've never done that before. Did you notice there what I've done?
You know what I've noticed is
Oh,
you've
right, yeah.
you put the sheet down and you put some of the mixture underneath to hold it
yeah.
down.
Yeah. Stop it
that's
flying in the
that's
oven.
Yeah,
very cool,
So,
I like that.
We've actually so I took it most of the way with the sugar. I've added a little bit of cream of tartar or corn flour, and then a little bit of lemon juice to
Can you turn it around and
stiffen.
stay?
Yeah, just
Over your head.
so you can see there. That's the meringue it's
Yeah.
holding,
Over your head.
and then one of the signs is
Yeah, it would do. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
yeah.
just sort of like that, and then no fear.
That's it.
So,
Yeah.
a little bit of the corn flour coming out there, but
I saw this trickle of sweat coming there.
so that's our lovely airy meringue. You could actually pipe it if you wanted a bit more decadence.
Are you a fan of piping things like meringue or not?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Makes
There's
it
more
look a bit-
control over
Yeah,
it.
okay.
That's it. Yeah, but we're sort of making mini meringue pavlovas. So as you know, pavlova is quite rustic, and I kind of want like a rustic effect, shall we say? Do you know the story of the pavlova?
Of course I do. Who doesn't?
Oh,
Any
yeah.
Let's hear it.
self-respecting, decent chef should know this. So obviously it's after a tribute to the Russian ballet dancer
Okay,
Anna Pavlova,
nice.
and well, it's all about being airy and elegant, pretty.
And I take it, where does it come from? Which country does it come from?
That is debatable because some say New Zealand, some say Australia.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So yeah,
I would never have thought this dish came from there. But I suppose if you think about it, if they were making it as a tribute to somebody who was visiting the country, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I think
but it does have that French elegance
It does,
kind of
doesn't
thing,
it?
doesn't
Yeah.
it?
It does, yeah. And if you noticed, I've made one a bit bigger than the other. So I'm going to sort of put one inside of the other. So make it a tower.
Cool.
And
Nice.
I've purposely made like a hole there so I can put my filling in there.
Amazing.
You could actually add sort of coconut to that if you wanted to do sort of a tropical flavour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reminds you of the Seychelles, the Maldives, that sort of thing.
You could make a coconut cream.
Yeah,
You could. Yeah. You
coconut
could
Sure.
do
cream.
many different things.
And
And
then
then you
pair
could-
that with mango or
That's
Yeah.
it. You'd be leaning into exotic fruits.
pineapple.
I think a
Um,
pavlova gives you so many options.
That's it.
Yeah.
And also it's gluten free and dairy free as well.
Yeah.
So
Apart
Well,
from
it's
the egg.
got the egg white.
well, yeah, well, yeah.
Apart from the
Yeah.
egg.
Yeah.
I meant gluten free. Yeah.
But you could
And it's
use
good as well.
albumina.
They have egg substitutes,
That's it,
right?
that's
If
it,
they,
yeah.
You could-
I've never used egg substitute.
No, you could use that though, and you could try this. I
That's it.
tried this last summer. I saw in one of the shops they had a condensed milk you'd use for
Yeah.
making. You'd make fudge, for example. I make a dairy butter tablet, like a recipe from Scotland. I make it in the summer sometimes and bring it in when I'm having a stressful week. On the weekend, I'll make it and then bring it in for everybody to eat. I tried it with coconut condensed milk.
Okay.
So coconut milk, but made into condensed milk. Absolutely shocking. Didn't
Nice.
work.
Oh.
If you don't want to have the massive, beautiful, buttery, milky, sugary, then fine, don't. But you can't put coconut condensed milk in there. It doesn't work.
No, but it's just a different kind of
Would you
pavlova.
like Thea to come and help with that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So what we've done is we've just added the meringues to a low oven, about 90 degrees, for about an hour and a half. We won't be here then, but
I will. I'll send you a video later.
fortunately Damian's actually prepared very kindly for me because I wasn't here. He's actually prepared a larger version of a meringue,
And then
which
you
you
can
would call
see
a pavlova.
a few issues. One, I did this last night when I got home because it was a very busy day, and I thought I'll do that when I get home. But I got home and realised I didn't have any corn flour. And I had nothing to substitute for it. I didn't have anything, so I basically didn't do it with what would keep it the height. So it's lost a bit of height, but it still has the dip in the middle.
That's it.
And I made a couple of extra spares, and I had that last night to try it. And the flavour's nice, but it's just not as attractive as I'd like it.
Well, it's not the texture that you're looking
Exactly,
for.
yeah.
Right?
I think
But that happens, you know.
with a pavlova it's quite you can get away with a lot, you know, as long as you make it nice and the topping's nice and the guests are happy. I think you can get away with a lot, right?
I don't think they're supposed to look perfect.
No,
They're supposed
they-
to taste perfect.
The
Or
imperf-
both,
yeah.
preferably.
The imperfection is the perfection. Right?
Not when I cook it.
So we're just going to garnish it with a.
Pass it over to you with your beautiful muscles
Yeah.
that you have. Put that to use.
We've actually got.
How stiff do you want it?
It's almost there.
Let me move it over here.
No pun intended, eh?
We've got a nice mascarpone whipped cream. I'm just preparing some fresh berries. We want to celebrate the berries today rather than celebrate the exotic fruits, which is more wintertime, tropical fruits.
Yeah, that's true. And also right now we're coming into the French berry season. So a lot of the French berries are really lovely now.
Yeah.
I had some from Carros a couple of weeks ago. They've
Oh,
just
they're
come
gorgeous.
into season. They're
Yeah,
beautiful
gorgeous.
berries.
The Feuilles de Bois, the wild strawberries are in season at the moment.
And when you come back next time, actually, we've just in our garden, we've got a Riviera garden. I'll have to show you actually.
Yeah.
I've just planted some yellow Feuilles de Bois.
Wow.
So they're very, very different from the red.
Yeah.
They're yellow for a kickoff. But basically, they've got this really beautiful, creamy, sugary flavour to them.
I'm looking forward
It's
to
very
tasting
different
that.
to the red.
Wow,
the
like a
red
honey
is that,
sort of berry.
It's mate, I absolutely love. You're gonna love them. Obviously, I'm not sure which yacht you're gonna be on yet. But when they're through, I'll send you a punnet or two for you to give to the owner and let them try. So you'll absolutely love them.
So we've actually got this really nice vanilla as well, which we want to celebrate the vanilla and heighten the flavour.
So we've got our Ugandan organic with the vanillin crystals. That's a beautiful little product. Yeah, I love it.
And also for a bit of difference, we've got this lovely bourbon aged maple. Is it maple?
Yeah. So this is a maple syrup.
Yeah.
That's.
Show it up. No, the syrup.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And the vanilla. And the vanilla.
We definitely need an earpiece. Let's look into that. So basically, this is a product I found quite a few years ago. I'd been to one of the food shows. Does that work? Can you see it now? I've been to a food show and they'd had these award-winning products that they had a judge on, and one of them was a maple syrup. It was this one, and I like tasted it. They weren't at the show. They just had entered, and they'd won an award. And so I managed to get them to get me to send some samples to me. It's actually from the USA. Now we all know right now with trade, we're not too happy talking about that. And I think if you're on a yacht and you have American clients or American-owned vessel, I haven't quite finished.
No.
Are you sure? But you want to, and this is a big tip.
It's going to talk about the vanilla.
No.
You get your stuff in America if you're coming to Europe. If you've got specialist product on your boat that you need for your clients, whether it's a Walmart product or whether you can buy it on Amazon, it doesn't matter. It's going to cost more money this season. The tariffs are huge. There's been a 90-day pause, but there's no guarantee that will continue. So I think if you can get some of that stuff on your boat now, before you make the crossing to Europe, you're going to save yourself a lot of stress. We also can offer out substitutions for a lot of these products. A lot of the time, an American owner is going to say, I want this product. This is my protein that I have. We can get the same thing. I mean, literally identical in Europe. It just has a different brand name. And I think sometimes, you know, depending on how much it's going to cost to have that stuff sent over, it's worth thinking about that and seeing whether the owners and speak to them to see whether or not they're happy for substitutes in Europe. In all honesty, we have amazing product in Europe. A lot of these things are regulated a lot more, and so you can actually get a better product. But it's worth thinking about that when you're on a yacht now. I know if you're in Europe, it's too late, but if you're in the States and you're thinking of crossing, have a think about that before you come.
But that's almost ready. It's just sort of holding, almost like the meringue of cream, we'd say.
Yeah.
I don't want to take it too far because then that'll affect the eating taste and it'll be too heavy. I'll just show you this. I've scraped out the vanilla from the pod, and you could almost say that is.
Let me put a bit of paper there so you can.
That's you could almost say that's caviar. Caviar of vanilla, should we say?
It really is, isn't it?
That's what they call it nowadays.
A little bit in your fingers, it feels like satin.
And also, how many times you get a pod of vanilla that's so thin and dried out that you get half the yield of seeds to that. So I think it's important, if you're going to get vanilla, you want the best because flavour as well, obviously.
Well, there's this planifolia vanilla as well, but actually the most of the flavour is in the pod.
Yeah.
It's not even on the grains.
Yeah.
So
what you can do with your...
That's interesting to use the pod entirely, right?
100%.
Put that into sugar or salt.
Or even olive oil.
Olive oil, yeah.
Vanilla olive oil, and I've done it with the Ventadal Baron. I've left it in there for a few weeks, and then I've used it on things like lobster, and it's absolutely stunning.
And you can poach your lobster in olive oil in like a low butter
Yep.
something like that. Which would
Have you
work
ever
quite
tried
well.
vanilla vinegar?
I haven't. No.
Okay.
You've had what? Sorry.
Vanilla vinegar.
I've
I'll
no,
treat you
tried
to
it.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried vanilla vinegar.
Really
I'm
good.
not a massive vinegar fan, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But yeah, back to the maple syrup. This is a 9-month aged in bourbon barrels.
You added
they
some in,
used
didn't
it.
you? I think.
No, I haven't put any in
No,
yet.
no, we
They
don't.
basically they age it in a bourbon barrel, so you've got that lovely, deep, mature flavour in the background, which you don't usually get in maple. We all love maple. This has got that flavour that's super special. So much so now that clients who've had this, they literally. I had a phone call the other day where a client said, "I need it for the owners this year. I need 20 bottles saved for me."
There you go.
I was like, okay, no problem. So that's saved for him because I know that they're going to need it. But it's the kind of thing that once you've had, you kind of can't give the owner anything else. They're only going to want to have that product, which is super cool.
And they're right. Why would you settle for less?
And why would you? Yeah, absolutely. So we've got here mascarpone, we've got cream, we've got vanilla, and we've got a little bit of maple syrup too.
And a tiny bit of sugar,
Take that from you, sorry.
not too much sugar. And then we've got the berries that we spoke about, and I think just with this you can just go to town with it really. You can be quite rustic. You want it quite colourful and quite decadent. So we eat with our eyes first, and so that's that. And we've got some lovely strawberries. We've got some.
Apologise about my meringue. That
No, I think
broke a bit. I put it on a tray this morning and I covered it just to make sure it didn't get smashed. I think the first corner I went round, I heard this.
It got smashed.
knock, and I went, "That's the Pavlova."
And then
Poor Anna.
Yeah.
one thing I could say is that if you're on a boat and obviously with choppy waters, that could happen.
100%.
So then, as being a chef, you've got to be that articulate that the Pavlova then becomes eat a mess.
Yeah. There you go.
Well,
so
Just don't write it on
You
the
just
menu.
changed the recipe.
that's it. Yeah, eat and mess. The berries crushed into like a glass or
Yeah.
just decadently plated on something.
It's a really good point you make. You've got to be prepared for stuff. Somebody could come into the galley, knock something, and your
fall off the
dessert
shelf
is
or-
broken in two pieces. You can only use one. You need to be prepared to say, "That's my Pavlova," or "eat and mess," because you're prepared for it. You know, it's
That's
not
it.
about.
You know, the
gotta-
best recipes have come out of a disaster.
Yeah, there we go.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
it.
Like the
Yeah.
apple tart tan.
I think also if you
Put a little
prepare
drizzle of this on.
for the worst but expect the best, then you're going to have half a chance
That's
on a
it.
yacht. And that's the yachting
That's
industry.
it.
Prepare for the worst. You've got to be
So organised.
organised and ready for stuff to go wrong. Very similar to
Absolutely.
having a live show on YouTube.
Yeah, something like that.
And
This is
then
our fourth.
And
which
cameras standing up.
We're trying to get things right, but it takes a while.
I've just put a drizzle of the lovely products that we've got there on, and then I've got some nice little bits of basil, just a bit of difference, bit of sort of. We could be in Italy now, so basil is obviously quite popular in Italy. So we just
Mint is very often used as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
That's
mint.
a little bit boring,
I
but
think it's nice to do it a bit different sometimes. I think the problem with desserts is sometimes people expect them to be a very
well,
particular
if you
way
go for
done. That's it.
classics, if you go for classic
Yeah.
recipes, you have to,
Yeah.
because otherwise you can't call it that.
Yeah,
dish.
Yeah,
yeah.
certain
Very
things
simple.
you can have a bit of fun
Yeah.
with, and
And that's why you get a lot of in France, or everywhere actually, the restaurants they say a déclinaison
Yeah.
of. So that
Yeah.
gives you a bit of more freedom
leeway.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
and then
It's cool. Look at this, lovely.
yeah. So then that's that, and then I've just got these little tweel leaves that I've made. So you
So tell us how did you make the twirly?
so easy. So you buy a nice stencil, different shapes, different formats come. So it's 1 part egg whites, which we already had. So we just took a bit of egg whites from the meringue. 1 part flour, 1 part butter, and a little bit of sugar. So you make a paste with the soft butter, flour together to make a paste. Work into that the egg whites. Add your sugar. Set that up a little bit in the fridge because the butter will harden, and then spread it on your mold, and then bake that for 5 to 10 minutes till golden brown, and then you get that lovely decadent
Nice.
leaf. And then that sort of
Do you have a lot of molds that you use in
yeah,
general?
I do actually. It's quite, as a chef, you travel around a lot, so it's quite lightweight, and it's easy to carry. So and it blows people's minds.
Yeah.
What I
That's
like
good.
to do with the twills as well,
But,
for example, is if you have like products that you don't want to throw out but you can't really use them anymore,
Yeah.
That's
turn
it.
them into powders like kaffir lime
Yeah.
or vanilla pods, whatever,
That's it.
and you can mix it in that
That's it.
that
Would you like to
cream.
come and taste?
Yeah, so that
You're
is
enjoying
our that's our large version of Pavlova, inspired by Anna Pavlova from Russia or Ukraine, we could say,
Go there.
with vanilla mascarpone cream, fresh summer berries or spring berries coming in, with basil, maple reduction, barrel aged, and the twills. Enjoy.
Amazing. You're going to have a little try as well. Go for
Oh
it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Go
why
for it.
not?
Let's all have a little taste. Go for it.
Where do we start?
Well, I mean, this is my half.
I can see the camera people wanting to get involved.
They're
as
not
well.
coming. There'll be none left by the time we're
That's
off air. In fact, we won't go off air until we've eaten it. So let's have a nice big.
Lovely.
You get that sweetness from the maple syrup coming through, and the barrel aged, and again, like sort of layering up flavors, different flavors. Every mouthful's a little bit different.
It's really lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, I haven't done the Pavlova part particularly well, but it's got a nice flavour to it. It's actually quite bouncy inside. It's not just dried out, and I think it's such a fun dessert. You know, if somebody, I love creme brulee. It's not as much fun as a Pavlova.
Well,
You can really-
visually, you can't do that much.
exactly,
differently,
it is what it
right?
is, isn't it? But this is something you can really decide on how you want
Like
to.
the individual
add to
ones,
it.
a big one. You can even do different shapes. I've once done one for a birthday, and it was for a daughter,
Yeah.
15 years old. So I did it in the form of 15.
Oh, really cool.
Same thing,
Yeah.
just a different shape. So you can go all the way with it. And creme brulee is a creme brulee, but a good creme brulee is worth it.
Well,
That's
we had one 2 weeks ago. Chef Duncan was here. He made the pastry for the outside. Everything was just absolutely perfect. And the difference between that and what I've ever had in a restaurant, it's incomparable. It was a complete different level to any restaurant creme brulee, because restaurants tend to cut too many corners. We've talked about yachts a lot.
spoke about it.
Cutting the right corners on a yacht is essential. You can make a creme brulee from the materials you have. You don't need to buy it in a President 1 litre tub,
Yep.
bang it in and hope that's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. I just don't agree with it. But there we go. I wanted to say before we leave, it's been great. I'm really glad
thank
that
you
we
so
got
much.
to know each other. And I'm really glad that you called me last year to come and say hello and introduce yourself so we could talk about food, because it's always eye-opening. Having chefs of your level come and see us and cook for us and talk to me on the phone, it's just fantastic, and I really appreciate
Absolute
it.
pleasure.
Can we have a big round of applause for Chef T? We're not sure where you end up, but whoever
So-
takes you is going to have the best chef they've ever had on a yacht. So
Thank
congratulations
you so
on
much.
making it to second season.
Thank
And
you.
good luck, and I'm looking forward to hearing where you're going this summer.
We'll be taking sea bass and Pavlova with us.
Yeah. Thea, thank you for coming to us today.
It's been a pleasure.
I haven't even built you up yet, and they're already clapping.
Wow,
But yeah,
my
it's going to
natural
be
charm.
a fun summer. If you're out there on your yacht and you see Thea wander around, go and say hello. Invite her on for a cup of tea if you can, if you're allowed to have guests. But obviously Thea knows pretty much everything about what we
Yeah.
have here and can help you out. And I think for Riviera Gourmet, having somebody who's a chef, professional, knows the trade, knows the produce, knows what the chef's going through is super important. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And let's do it again. Big round of applause for Thea. Thank you to Kate, who's done all of our direction and production today. It's been fun. Don't forget, we'll be back soon with a new episode. We may even be back next Friday with an Easter episode. We're hoping and we're seeing whether we can get our chocolate man in to do that with us. But until then, have a great weekend and we'll see you soon. Thanks for coming.
Saturday, your kitchen.